Hey, what is up, everybody? I'm your host, Mimic Souls, and today I would like to talk about the new player experience in Punishing Gray Raven as of the year 2024. For context, I started this game about a month ago. I reached level 80 on March 11th of 2024. So, let's get into what the new player experience is like in Punishing Gray Raven. So, to note, Punishing Gray Raven is a dynamic, fast-paced instant arena fighter. So what do I mean by that? I mean that this is a game where you are put into an arena with enemies, and it's not always just like a circular arena or nothing like that. Sometimes you have a level design, but there is a limit to the arena where you're fighting in intense battles with enemies and bosses, namely the bosses, right? This is what Punishing Gray Raven is known for, is its combat and stylish fights against bosses. You may have heard of Punishing Gray Raven thanks to a specific YouTuber named Blanc, who published a video called 100% Motivated Alpha versus, what was it, the twins? Or just 100% Motivated Alpha? I believe it was 100% Motivated Alpha. This is for anybody who's very new or has been looking into Punishing Gray Raven and just happened to find my video for the first time. Hi. Second, thanks for clicking on this video. And third, this game, even though it's a gacha game, is very free-to-play friendly. Very, very free-to-play friendly. How friendly is it? Let me show you. This is the gacha banner, okay? This is the current rate-up character. This is Alpha Crimson Weave, the character that Blanc made very popular with his 1.5 million views on YouTube for his 100% Motivated Alpha. I was desperate after I saw it, so I didn't know about this character for about 2 days into playing PGR before someone was like, hey, so have you seen the next rate-up character? And I was like, no. So I did a react to it. And that react not only blew up, it was my first it is still my biggest video on YouTube. But that is when I discovered Alpha. And I was desperate to get her. Now, coming from Honkai Star Rail and Genshin Impact, I was very, very nervous that I would, since I started a week before the patch released, that I wasn't going to get the character. Let me tell you, that is wrong. Okay? You can play for a week. And if you are, read down. Yeah, okay, so. Thanks, guys. But you can play for a week. And you can 100% get this character. Okay? Or any rate-up character that you start playing for. Okay? If you grind and actually play the game, give the game a chance, you can get this character. I got her early, but it only costs about 15,000 to get this. Right? 15,000 of these can get you the character. You have 60 pulls on this specific banner, which we'll go more into gacha details in a minute. And you can get a character. Now, let's go into the actual gacha details. These gacha rates are very, very fair. On debut, all new characters on their debut banners have a 100% rate up. Okay? As you can see up here, my chat is currently covering it, but you have a 100% rate up in the S rank pool, meaning you cannot lose. Okay? You hit pity, you are getting this character, or whatever character is currently on the banner. Okay? However, if you happen to catch them off banner, from what my chat has told me, it becomes a 70-30. So you have a 30% chance to lose or a 70% chance to win, which is still higher than 50-50. Hoyoverse, take note. Now, let's talk about the weapon banner. A lot of you might be worried about this if you specifically come from games like HSR and Genshin Impact. Namely because in Genshin Impact, the weapon banner is fucking trash. Don't worry, I won't be mentioning that game much more. This has an 80% rate up 100% of the time. Okay? I'm not sure exactly if you have to get the character before you can get the weapon. But I do know that this has a 80% rate up. No, it's 50%. So this weapon has a 80% rate up 100% of the time. Okay? So the moment you have it unlocked, you can get this weapon with an 80% rate up. And your pity is at 30. Okay? Now, a lot of newer players, you can pull weapon before character. Okay, so you do not need to pull the character to get the weapon. Keep that in mind, everybody. However, in this specific case, this weapon can only be used on Crimson Weave. Just side note. Your pity on this banner is 30. Guaranteed 5-star in 10 pulls. So every 10 pulls, you get a 5-star. And again, you could get early. Now, one thing to note with the weapon banner is this banner does not have a failsafe. What do I mean by failsafe? I mean, say you lose the 20%, your next one is not guaranteed. Unfortunately, I do not know if there's a current way to get around that. I have heard that you could always trade the 6-star weapon in, and okay, so I do know this is the case. You can recycle the weapon, but if you get 3 of them, I believe the magical number is 3. You can go ahead and recycle the weapons and go down here to exchange shop, or no, not exchange shop, recycle shop, sorry, and go to the 6-star weapon shop. And here you can buy it if you have 6-star shards, which are up here. Yep. 3 copies to salvage for a guarantee. So by technicality, you can lose the maximum of 3 times before you get the weapon. So you have to pull 3 6-stars that are off banner. So the chances aren't very good of that happening, but the chances are still there. Now, more on weapons. It is generally, again, this is from what I've heard from my chat, not recommended for newer players to pull weapons unless they really want them. That being said, weapons are a massive power upgrade, but do not feel that you need to pull a weapon immediately. These weapon banners are always going to be here. Always. There is no FOMO with the weapon banner. You are safe. You could save up, and we'll go more into this later. You could save up black cards and eventually pull the weapon of your choice. Now, let's talk about Cubs. Cubs are essentially this game's pet system. Right now, this is the current rate up pet or cub called Motorbolt. It is recommended for Crimson Weave. On debut, they have a 100% rate up, just like the limited S-rank character, with 20 pulls being your pity before you get a guaranteed cub. Now, I'm not sure what the rate is off the debut banner. I'm pretty sure it's also 70-30 or 80-20. Chat, if you could clarify for me real quick, which is it? Well, they clarify that for me. We're going to talk into a little bit more about characters. It's 80-20. Okay, so it's 80-20. If you do not pull on the debut banner of a cub that you might want, then it is 80-20. Now, this is a good time to mention that cubs are not necessary. In fact, there is only 2 in the game right now that I know of that are extremely recommended. And that is going to be this current one, Motorbolt, which is for Alpha Crimson Weave, and Isla Kalitos, which I'm probably butchering the pronunciation. But S-rank Isla is also recommended for crowd control. Now, if you're looking to min-max, they are going to be very, very useful. But other than that, do not feel like you need to pull if you are free to play. Okay, now this is a good time to mention right before we go into our next topic. There's this thing called a top-up. If you've played any sort of gacha game before, you know exactly what this is. This is where you spend money. Everybody, before we even cover this section, I want you all to listen to me. Spend your money wisely, please. I don't want to see any of my viewers homeless because they've wasted a bunch of money in a gacha game. If you cannot afford to pay for this stuff, if you cannot afford a roof over your head and food on the table, do not spend money, okay? It is not worth it. It is 100% not worth it if you cannot afford to live. Please use common sense. This game is very free-to-play friendly, especially if you're coming from one of those other games. Say you're hyped for Wuwa, and you came to check out Kuro Games' other games, Punishing Gray Raven. Just know that this game is very free-to-play friendly. Okay? You do not need to spend money. If you do want to spend money, your best option for a low spender is going to be something called the Monthly Pass. Specifically, Monthly Pass A. Monthly Pass A will give you the best black card to rainbow card ratio. Meaning, and Gray Raven Radio has, which is another PGR channel. I'll try to remember to link the video in the description or in a comment. And I'll try and remember to link that in the comment, but they give a very detailed breakdown on black card to rainbow card ratio. And I feel like that's very important to talk about. Now, on to the next topic. Remember, you can get away with being free to play in this game, guys. Let's talk about characters. I generally recommend pulling waifu over meta. What do I mean by that? If you want a character and you like the character, I recommend you pull for the character. That being said, if you want to pull meta because you like meta, then pull meta. However, this is also a good time to bring up the fact that there are several game modes that we will cover later where meta becomes very important. If you want the maximum amount of rewards, and this is not just a casual game that you're playing once every couple days, then you might want to at least give the meta a consideration. We'll go into those modes later, but just know that there is a meta in the game, and that CN is currently a year ahead of us, so Global knows. Global has a bit of foresight to know what the meta is ahead of time and what characters to pull up for when it comes to meta. Now, there's these, another thing there is called uniframes. These are special type of frames, okay? Frames being the characters you can pull. These are special characters. Unfortunately, these characters don't really have a mode where they can shine that often anymore. They don't shine all that much anymore, unfortunately. They do have a couple game modes where they would be useful, but generally speaking, if you want to save your investments, I would recommend 100% pulling for Omni frames, due to the fact that you can usually just outdamage whatever is a uniframe stage. Now, if you like the uniframe, again, waifu over meta, pull the uniframe if you really want them. This is Kamu, okay? Kamu is your is a free uniframe that you get for free. You get his 5-star weapon and 6-star memories for free. However, everyone else is locked, as you can see, because I have not pulled a single uniframe. That being said, uniframes are very flashy and they are very fun, but they have a lot of investment, just like omniframes do. So if you don't really feel like you can afford the investment, I wouldn't generally recommend it, especially if you don't like uniframes. Otherwise, just pull omniframes. But if you really want the uniframes, pull them. Now, let's talk character team counts. We're going to get a little bit more into these game modes later. But there's these two game modes in in the challenge modes called Recitativo, and I'm butchering this name, De Fantasia, and Cursed Waves. In these modes, if you get good RNG, you can get a feeling for team comps. Okay? And so, when you unlock these, Cursed Waves being level 70 is your best option for getting a feel at team comps over Fantasia. Now, again, there is a little bit of an RNG system to it, and there is like buffs and stuff that apply to it. We'll go into it later, but the point is, you can get a feel for team comps in this mode. It's a very good way to get a feel for a character. Now, I hope that anyone is still here, that I've gotten you interested in the game, and you're probably screaming at me to stop stalling and get into the good stuff. Guys, I promise you we're getting somewhere with this, okay? Just let me cook. This game is a very heavy skill-based game, okay? What do I mean by that? I mean, if you're taking a look at Rexlent, or Blanc, or Kasumi PGR, or Guardian Soulblade, or Ragashu, you're taking a look at these content creators who are doing these amazing, gorgeous cinematic runs that you see me reacting to, or you're new to PGR and you're seeing those runs and thinking, I'll give this game a try. This is a skill-based game first and foremost. Okay? This is not to discourage you. This is so that you realize what you're getting into. Okay? The early game content is a lot easier than some of the later content. Okay? That being said, remember that you can't just pick up the controller, spend $100, and expect to be as good as them. Okay? You are going to need to learn to practice patience. You're going to need to learn boss movesets. You're going to need to learn how to manage your stamina gauge like it's Dark Souls. This game is not like Genshin Impact. You can't Q and E. You can't ultimate and skill your way out of this for harder content. You can't. Okay? You cannot. You have to practice, practice, practice. There is hundreds of hours that you see behind screen, or maybe on a CC's live stream, that they spend practicing these runs before they upload the final product. This is, again, not to discourage you. This is to let you know what you're getting into. This being said, do not be intimidated by missions of higher battle power. We'll get more into battle power later, but just know that they are beatable, and while difficult, it will teach you character management. Okay? I think this is a very important thing to learn, is character management. So if you want to throw yourself into some hard content and learn how to use your characters, it's a very good way to do it. Now, I'm going to bring up a website because this is a very important website for all of you. Link will be in the description. This website is called grayravens.com. This is a pretty much all you need to know wiki for punishing Gray Ravens. This has all your meta builds, it has the characters, every character, it has different meta builds for each character. One of my favorite characters is Liv Imperia, for instance. Okay, so you have main builds, you have DPS set, and this is going to show you everything, right? This also can show you different coatings, which are skins in this game, what different coatings she can have, and this goes for any character in the whole game. Now, to add on to the skill system before I go too much further, before we get too much further in, guys, you can't will your way out of this game. Just keep that in mind. I was supposed to mention that earlier. I forgot. And I'm sorry. But you can't will your way out of this. Back to getting into the game, okay? Another good way for you to maybe learn a character or learn more about the game and how the game works, go and find a content creator. or go find a stream, let's go content creator. Go find a content creator on Twitch. Go find a content creator on YouTube. Watch their videos, watch their live streams, and you will learn more about the game. And ask them, ask their community. Because the Punishing Gray Raven community is, for the most part, very, very supportive. I've had nothing but good experiences with these guys the entire time that I've been here for this 1 month. Rexlet is a very good source. Blanc is a good source for battle videos. If you want to see just character battles and cinematic videos, that's where you go. If you just want to watch some good combat, you go to Blanc. Rexland as well for that. Kasumi, Guardian. The ones I named earlier do combat videos. However, Rexlant and Spider2B are content creators that are going to give you more in-depth guides for bosses, for videos, and they're going to give you more guides for characters. Again, I'll try and leave all the links in the description below. But you get the message. There is a bunch of content creators you can go find. You can even go find newer content creators who are trying to make guides as well. Because I have seen some very good content creators popping up lately who are trying to make guides as well. And I think you should give them a look. Also, apparently Guardian wants me to mention that Spider2B does new player Q&A streams. Keep that in mind. Okay? Now, on to the next note. What do we have? The UI. Okay. The community has been very divided, unfortunately, over this. I am sort of in the in-between on this. This UI is actually the improved version of the UI. The original Punishing Gray Raven UI was even more... well, I don't know how bad it was, but I've heard people say that it was okay. It was so-so. And this new UI is a much needed improvement. I wouldn't know. I wasn't playing during that point. So, for any returning players, the UI has improved, from what I have heard. Now, keep in mind that a lot of people have said, oh, well, if the UI is complicating you or stumping you, then you're just an idiot. Don't listen to them, okay? Every community has a few toxic ones, okay? Just don't listen. On the other hand, if you think the UI is complicated, do know that it's just... It is not going to take a whole lot of time to learn, okay? Think of the UI like Dark Souls or Monster Hunter World, okay? Games with UIs that don't really tell you anything. That is essentially Punishing Gray Raven's UI. It doesn't really tell you much, and it incentivizes experimentation. So, but there is a lot. Like, look at all the UI that's on the home screen. Most of it covered by my chat right now. Let me move my chat so you guys can see. Where is my unlock button? Okay. So, for instance, you have all this UI over here. And then you have all this UI over here. And when you're a new player, something that really might confuse you is there is 2 guide buttons. So there will be a guide button up here for new players. And there's a guide button down here. They do different things. This is important to mention. This guide button goes into something called the mentorship system. Now, until I reach like a level 85 or something like that, unfortunately, this is going to be not all that useful for me to show you. But there's these things called mentors, which will help you level up in the game faster. Because trying to level up without a mentor is very, very slow. It is doable, but it is generally recommended to find a mentor in the game and reach level 80, and then you'll graduate. And from there, it's just going to be slow leveling from there. Once you reach level 80, I don't think anything is... I'm pretty sure once you reach level 80, everything is unlocked, and everything is open to you. From there, I think it is important to note that The guide system doesn't unlock until a little bit. I want to say anywhere from level 40, guys. Was it level 40 that the guide system unlocks at? But emoted. Okay, so apparently there is one thing that isn't unlocked, but I don't know if that's level locked. I don't know. It might be earlier. It might be so as early as level 20. The point is, as soon as you have access to this button, okay, so 10 to 20. As soon as you have access to that button, find a military instructor. They will help you level up, and you will reach level 80 much, much faster. Now, on to learning characters. I know I said earlier that in alternative interpretation at level 70 you unlock the smoke called cursed waves. Unfortunately, that is more for late game players who have unlocked cursed waves, okay? Due to the fact that by that point, by level 70, you need to have teams built. You need to have at least 1-2 teams semi-built. So, where can you go to try out new characters and do other stuff and get a feel for other characters? Well, there's this button in the menu called, so you click under battle, you click under study, and go to Cecilia's class. And this will give you a tutorial on all the characters in the game. Every single one. And if you do these tutorials, by the way, you also get black cards, which again is your gacha currency. So you 100% should go through all of these and do every single one. Important to note though, unfortunately, you cannot get these 3 frames anymore. This was an event collab way back. You cannot get these 3 frames anymore. But they still get black cards, so you should do it anyway. Now, easy traps to fall into. Right. Earlier in the video, I said that the early game is very easy. So after you get your ass demolished by the tutorial boss, which you are intended to die to. That being said, I incentivize you to go ahead and still try and fight her. After you get your ass absolutely clapped, the next boss you face is very, very easy. And so forth and so on. And then it slowly ramps up. Okay? Now, in the story mode of the game, specifically the story mode, you're going to be facing these bosses, but they have this thing called novice mode. Okay? In novice mode, basically, even if you die, you don't truly die. Right? It basically revives your characters. So there's no true punishment to losing in the story. I don't know if this applies to the early story, but I do know that it applies to the story. Novice protection is what it's called. However, this does not apply to everything, such as some of the later game modes like Cursed Waves, like Fantasia, and namely something all of you might like, which is, if you go to Cecilia's class, there's this thing called Simulated Trial, where, guess what, you can fight all these different bosses. This is the tutorial boss, by the way. You can fight all these different bosses, and, well, this is where the game can really start to step up in the case of something like Parry Ball, or as it's actually known, Hetero Hive Mother. Some of you probably know this boss because it is the punching bag of punishing Grey Raven. That is because it is fun as shit. This is something you unlock after you clear Parry Ball in the FOS training, something we'll go over later. But as you can see, you can step up the difficulty in custom training all the way to max. And you can really, really ramp this ball up. Not just this ball either. This applies to any single fight in the game. You can make it hard. You can make anything hard. And you can make... So this can be even turn... So this is the very first boss after the tutorial boss in the game, which may make you think, oh, this is a game is easy. Well, if you tell me it's easy at max difficulty, then congratulations, this is still not the hardest thing in the game. The game does step up. Okay? So, if you're looking for a challenge immediately on, do know that you do have to do a little bit of digging for it. Now, there's this stamina system called Serum. Now, currently, I am not going to do that. We're going to discuss that. Normally, you get Serum refills by doing missions, okay? And missions is in this tab right here. Now, I've already cleared all mine for today. But the point is, you get Serum from doing your dailies and doing other stuff and maybe doing some event stuff. And you get Serum, which you can refill and you can spend in certain places. Now, we'll talk about that in a minute. However, one thing I would advise against is sitting on Serum. Okay, so if you have spare Serum capsules laying around in your inventory, just pop them. And there's also Serum over here in the supply pack under daily supply pack. Just letting you know. So you can get at least 2-3 of them per day for free. Free refills that you can use to spend. Do not, and I repeat this, unless you are a whale, do not top up using black cards, please. Please. Now, my advice to all new players is to focus on building one team. Say you pull, in my case, I pulled Crimson Weave, okay? I think you should start building a lightning team first. Okay? And the reason I think you should build one team is because you are going to need to build teams. It is a very integral part of the game and a very mandatory thing. And while you can solo things in the game, it is generally not recommended for some of the more score-based systems in the game that we will be talking about later. I would focus on building one team. In this instance, I have a lightning team, which it consists of Crimson Weave, Chrome Arclight, and Liv Lux, who I kind of replaced and took her memories and put it on Babe Imperia, but, you know, that was just me because that goes into more of a class system, which there are several classes which we can cover actually right now since we're talking about members anyway. There are, in the game as I far know of right now, 4 classes in the game. There is the attacker class. There is the tank class. There is the amplifier class. And there is the support class. And a thing to note is attackers do exactly what they say. They get special buffs based on attacking. Tanks lower the enemy's defense. Supports, 5 if you count the Uniframe class. Well, we kind of counted... Okay, so there's actually 5. We'll talk about Uniframes in a second, Ben. And support. And support, unfortunately, kind of just got power crept entirely by something called the Amplifier class, which is basically just overall better. And, I don't have much more to add on that. Amplifier is just better. But that being said, don't sit on supports. If you don't have an amplifier, supports still work just fine. But again, focus on building a team around an element. So in this instance, lightning, lightning, lightning. Or if you have Imperia, you can pretty much slap her on any team and she'll be good to go. Now, Uniframes have this class called Vanguard. These guys focus on burst and have attack skills that deal severe burst damage. I don't know what that means. I don't use Uniframes. So you're gonna have to look up an advanced guide on Uniframes if you want to know more about Uniframes. If you're interested in Uniframes, then just know that there is 5 classes, but I would look up an advanced guide on that. In fact, I would still look up an advanced guide on amplifiers, on tanks, on attackers, on supports. Look up some guides. They will help you in the long run. Now, let's talk about the story, everybody. Oh boy. Whether you're a story skipper or a story reader, unfortunately, the early story is very easy, very good at pushing new players away, unfortunately. A lot of people don't give the story the chance it deserves. That is because the early story is very hard to wrap your head around, or at the very least, in my case, very hard to wrap my head around. Some of you may have been like, be in the YouTube comments type keyboard worrying right now, saying, oh, well, I got the story. Okay, that's cool. I'm talking to everybody else. Chapters 1 through 8 are notoriously good at pushing new players away. That being said, I still think you should give the story a chance. It is still very good. And while 5 and I believe it is 5 through 7 pick up in the early story, we don't talk about Chapter 8. Chapter 8 is, well, it kind of loses you. I wouldn't worry too much about wrapping your head around Chapter 8. However, important to know is that when you reach Fallen Star, Chapter 9, the story starts to pick up. And then it gets even better in Chapter 10. Even better in 11. And then 12, it absolutely kicks off. This becomes the start of what is truly some very good story writing. Now, this goes into something I want to talk about. There's these things called... I don't want to show you guys too much of that. There's these things called hidden stories. So, when you finish a story completely, this is Chapter 1. There's this thing called hidden story, which the general consensus from the PGR community says they suck. Okay? And unfortunately, the early story, well, this is what is going to push you away more than anything else. Okay? The normal story content costs 15 serum. 15 stamina to do. Okay, 6 in the case of right here. This costs 6. However, later on it becomes like 15. I think by Chapter 8 it becomes 15. Right? Can I get a confirmation on that? Yeah, so 15. So normally after a certain point it becomes 15. With hidden story, you have to go and complete the next story. So you have to do all of Chapter 2, normal story. Then you have to jump back to Chapter 1 and do its hidden story. And so on and so forth all the way through the early story. Does it suck? Yes, the system is terrible. 100%. 24 serum is absolutely bullshit. And to top it off, sometimes you have to play as a very clunky boss in the early Chapter 1 through 8 stories. Namely Tifa. Do not let that discourage you. Give the game a chance. I promise you will love it. Once you get past that, once you get past the first 8, the game really does pop the fuck off. I promise you. It does. Now. What is next? So, you know all those fun bosses that you see people fighting all the time? Namely, Primal Projection, or you see Hetero Hive Mother, or you see the twins. Those are actually locked behind story as well. So, unless you unlock them in an event, you 100% need to clear the story to unlock the fun bosses that you see everyone fighting against all the time. A little bit of a side note, but still one that I felt was important mentioning. If you want those fun bosses that you see Kasumi, Guardian playing against, well then I recommend you go ahead and do the story. Apparently Kasumi also said that from Chapter 22 onward, the story doesn't cost serum. There you go. It's a little side note. Okay. Dorms. Let's talk about the dorm system. There's this system called the dorms, okay? And while I suck at this because I am fucking stupid, and here's another thing with a whole lot of UI and everything. we covered this earlier. Love it or hate it. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but you can wrap your head around it with enough experience. I would watch an advanced guide on this too, though, because the dormitory system might be a little complicated, might not be a little complicated. I don't know. It depends on whether you've done dormitory systems in other gacha games before, I feel like. I never have because I found them boring. Right now, my dormitory is glitched out, and I'm not restarting the game to go ahead and show you. But mine is glitched out, unfortunately. This one sucks, but they're jumping around and they're happy. So this is what it's supposed to normally look like. But there's more stuff in there, right? So this is actually my current project one that I've been working on. But dorms are very important. You need to do your dailies in here every single day, whether you like it or not. Because it unlocks something very, very important. Specifically, it unlocks 2 amplifiers. Right now, you can only unlock 1 because the other isn't out yet. But right now, you can get Isla. She is a Gen 2 Ice Amplifier. And in a future patch, which is in July, if I'm not mistaken, you can get another character from the dorms for free. Again, S rank, and she's busted as fuck, called Elisa Echo. As far as I know, her name is just Elisa. But you can buy these shards, and using those shards, you can unlock the characters for free. That is a free S rank. Do your dorms, people. It is Elisa Echo? Okay. See, so I have 28 out of 50 right now. But my point is, you get these S rank characters. They're both amplifiers, and they're both very important to have. And they're both meta. Okay, so Elisa is her name, Echo is her frame. So the point stands. Now, Guardian makes a good point as well. There's another thing you can get from the dorms. Another very important thing you can get from the dorms. Which is these. The coding sketches. These give coatings, aka skins. And with it, you can go to the shop and buy coatings. So you go to the shop, you go and check out these coatings, and you notice you need these tickets. You can get these from doing your dorms. And there is just a bunch of coatings, right? For all different frames. Pick your favorite. But the point is, you can save up and get some of these. Now, some of them are locked behind rainbow cards, unfortunately. In the case of these ones right here. But in the case of these ones, you can get these for free. I don't know how to get those ones. I don't know what the case is with that. But, there's also weapon coatings as well. Which I'm pretty sure you can get those from the dorm as well, if I'm not mistaken. I've just never bought them. No, you cannot. You get them from the commission shop. Okay, I haven't done that, I don't think. But the point is, you get coatings. So if you want new skins, do your dorms. You want your free 2 amplifiers? Do your dorms. Now. Oh, what is next? Simulated Siege. Okay. There's this thing once you reach level 80 called hypertuning. Which, to give an example, I don't have it done yet, but I'm pretty sure I could do it if I tried. This is a maxed out character who's almost level 80. Not yet, so I don't know if I can, but once this becomes available once you reach level 80. And you have max resonance. That's important. You have to have max resonance. You have this thing called hypertuning, which you hypertune, and you have to spend these orange and blue coin-looking things on to increase the buffs. And so that is a very important thing that becomes very important later on. I recommend you do those. Now, how do you get those? One way to get those is going into your guild. You unlock guild a little bit further into the game. However, when you do, you get you can do this thing called simulated siege. I don't know where mine is, but when you do your simulated siege, you can go to your shop. This is the wrong shop. Top right, the middle icon. Okay. This one? This. Okay, so this is simulated siege. Okay. Now, apparently I didn't help with this one. I was stupid. But apparently you do simulated siege, right? And you get hyper tuning shards, or the coins, or whatever you want to call them. So just a little bit of a side note, but I recommend doing that once you have your guild unlocked. Also, simulated siege gives you trial characters, so don't feel like just because you're a new player with no characters that you can't go in and do that. You can. In fact, that is the only place that you can use uniframes as well, is in simulated siege. But again, they give you trial uniframes, so defeats the purpose of pulling them. Now, there's this thing called resource stages. Okay? Under the resources tab, you'll see all these different stages. Up until you are level 40, you can do these every day. I believe it's level 40. It is level 40. So once you're level 40, however, do not touch these, okay? The only ones you would possibly want to do is the A ranks, due to the fact that getting your A ranks to S or SS could be very beneficial to your account. Don't feel like you need to, but this would be very useful. Those are the only ones you would want to do. Once you're level 40, you'll have access to the event. So every update, there is an event. And when you go into the event, in the case of this event, you get something called material. So you have the material event. So in this case, it's Overwinter. So you do these events, you get the currency in the event. Right now I have auto unlocked, but I can't do one anyway, because I don't have serum. And then you go to the event shop, and here is where you can actually buy your materials. Okay? So in my case, I need memory enhancer, so I can go ahead and click on this, and I can purchase a bunch of memory enhancers. And now I can level up memories. That's just a little bit of a thing. But once you're level 40, you have access to the material event. Do the material event, forget the resource stages. The only thing they're good for is giving you character shards. Speaking of character shards, once every day, you can get a shard for 20,000 in the shop. Right here in Verse Shard. You can go ahead and purchase it if you want, or don't. Your choice. But just know, it is there. Memory Rescue. Okay. Now is a good time to talk about Memory Rescue. So, if you go under the challenge menu, go under Special Challenge, there's this thing called Memory Rescue. Now, I've beaten mine all the way. However, these are very important to do. They give you 5-star memories, which aren't all that useful in them by themselves, because once you're level 40, which by the time you're doing this, you should be about level 40, you're going to have access to 6-star memories. 6-star memories are just overall better. In fact, there's very limited scenarios. There are some scenarios, but they are the exceptions, where you would want a 5-star memory, but otherwise, just 6-star for everything. The main reason you want to do these is because, again, you get the currency, the gacha currency, the black cards, right? I don't know what else anybody wants to add to that. I was told this is a very important thing to mention. Is there anything anyone else would like to add to Memory Rescue? Any important tidbits of what else we need to know? Other than the fact that you just need to do them? Ify sends news packing. So if you want to go ahead and give M-Tash a little, just trash talk M-Tash a little bit. I'm just kidding. M-Tash is good, but he couldn't beat this one. But you didn't hear it from me. That being said, love him. Good dude. Sorry, M-Tash. but you played that like shit. Now, now that we're done shitting on MTash, again, great guy. Let's talk about Warzone and PPC. These are two modes that are both very doable, and both require teams built. This is the score-based systems that I was talking about earlier. These score-based systems give you very important things. In the case of Warzone, what you can spend your score points on, which are these up here, the most important thing I would recommend personally are 6-star memory resonance material picks. This is generally the most recommended pick, is this one. I don't know if there's anything else you want. Can anyone confirm for me? Or is it just really the material picks that you're doing these for? Anything, chat? Give it a minute. I'm mostly certain about this. Leap wafers sometimes. I feel like you get those from somewhere else, though. Also, leap wafers I don't think are mostly red, but if you're leaping a character, grab the leap wafer. Okay, so this is a good time to mention leaps. Leaps are character buffs to older units, okay? So grab your material picks. However, if you are getting a character's leap, you can also get the leap wafers right here. Now, I'm not going to go into leaps in this video due to the fact that that's more of an advanced topic, and I think you should check out an advanced guide on that. This is more what it's like to be a new. This is more like what it's like to be a new player in PGR, and a little bit of a guide as well. It functions as both. Now, the other battle mode is called Phantom Pain Cage, otherwise known as PPC. This is a very important mode to do as well. I haven't done mine this week. It is important to note that Monday through Friday, you get 4 challenges a day, and on Saturday and Sunday, you get 8 per day. These are important to do because you get these things called Phantom Pain Scars. And on Monday, you get in the mail whatever your ranking was. Again, this is score-based. Whatever your ranking was, you get a certain set amount of Phantom Pain Scars. So you get a set amount of scars. You go to your shop. This is where you can level up your S rank character that you just pulled. Okay, so for everyone who pulled the Crimson Weave but could only get just the standard S, and they don't want to whale, this is right where you could go. Okay, it's going to take a lot of grinding. By my estimations, it's going to take actually a lot of grinding to get her to SS. But the point is, this is where you go to level up your S rank units. Now, on the next note, Norman Revival Plan. This is another mode, which is unfortunately something I genuinely don't recommend until you're a certain level. Chat, is there a recommended level for this? Because of the fact that you need like 4 or 5 teams, I believe, minimum. This is a mode that I would recommend a little bit later into the game. Like, I cleared it today, but this is newbie mode, and I cleared level 80. They recommend you go in at 60 because you can use trial characters. Yeah, but you don't get a full team of trial characters. It is possible to clear it. Again, very possible. With enough skill, anything is possible in this game. But my advice, save it for about level 60-ish. But that one is very difficult. Another side note, if you do the cover tactic, which is unlocked after you do elimination, these, you clear those and you go to your rewards. Something important to note is that you get these things called cub tickets. These help you pull into cubs, okay? Also, these are also important to do because, so why, the big reason you want to do Norman is these, the 6-star weapon resonance shards. So for your weapon resonance, for your 6-star weapons, these are very good to have. Another reason is because you get weekly BC. So if you want more gacha pulls, you know where to go. But again, this is some very hard content for endgame, close to endgame. Not necessarily endgame, but close to endgame. Now, the stamina system in PPC. I forgot to mention this. There is this thing in PPC called AP. This is essentially a stamina system. This is the number of times you can use a character per week in the PPC. So you can't just use one team to clear PPC. So, for newer players, my general strategy that I was given to clear PPC was to go in with a weaker character on the weaker stages, that being Test and Elite, maybe Knight if you have enough skill. But at that point, you know, you can clear those with your weaker characters, and then go into Chaos and Hell later with your full teams. A little bit of advice from me that helped me a lot. Warzone. A little bit of a tip for this one. You can go into here, and you want to clear this. You want to go into the first area of Warzone. You want to enter the area. Then what is generally a good idea is to go in with like a level 1 character. So in my case, I'll use Lee Palefire in this case. You can go in with, let's say, Lee Palefire, or whoever you have that's level 1. I have a Lee Palefire that's level 1 because I haven't built mine yet. But go in with a level 1 character and then die 12 times. By doing so, you'll have cleared all 12 Warzone stages for the week to get all the BP. Or not BP, but BC. So, clearing all 12, you get the max amount of BC, so you get easy rewards. But keep in mind, it has to be uncleared. If you clear the node, well, I don't know what to do then. But according to Guardian, dying 12 times on the first uncleared node. So that's just some easy BC tip for you guys. There you go. Let's talk about Cursed Waves again. Cursed Waves is a mode that you unlock at level 70, and this becomes very important to do due to the fact that it gives gacha pulls every 10 levels. So if you want some event tickets, you can go to clear Cursed Waves, and every 10 levels, you get gacha tickets. A little bit of a side note, there is reasons to do these alternative modes. Fantasia. Yep. Fantasia is a very important to clear as well. Do 10 per day. So I've already done mine. You do 10 a day and no more. And you might also get some achievements unlocked as well. But you do 10 a day in Fantasia. I'm not going to go too deep into this. I'm going to let you guys do this. But you go into Fantasia, and here you can get the S rank Dark Amplifier Selena Capriccio. Again, I probably butchered that name. I'm sorry, guys. But unfortunately, that's just how I am. This is a S rank Dark Amplifier. Again, very good character. So if you want another S rank amplifier, she's here in Recitativo di Fantasia. Now, on to the final notes in this video. I want you guys to find content creators you like, watch them play, or make some content. Like me, Mimic Souls. Make content for the game. If you're passionate about this game and you feel like you want to make content, make some content. Know that there is a growing community of new content creators up and coming, and the wave is insane right now for PGR content creators. The wave is becoming bigger and bigger, and I'll be releasing a video sometime around the time of this video going over becoming a content creator for Kurto Games games. That isn't the point. Find CCs you like, give them support, watch them play, learn from them, learn from yourself, and just play the game. Or you can even make content if you're very passionate about the game and you want to make content. Know that we're here for you, and the community is very welcoming with open arms due to the lack of CCs for this game. Now, on to guides. As I've mentioned several times now, there are several guide makers for punishing Grey Raven. Okay? Namely, Spider2B and Grey Raven Radio make some very good guides regarding punishing Grey Raven. I would highly recommend go liking, subscribing to their videos, okay? They make very excellent, thorough guides. However, I would also suggest maybe finding some other smaller ones, because sometimes the bigger ones do miss things that some smaller content creators might go over. Rexland also makes guides? Okay, so Rexland as well. Okay? Now, guys, while my notes tell me for some reason to mention that I love Lamia and would smash the mermaid because she's hot, I don't know why that's in my notes. Guys, this is, like I said, I've covered as much as I can in this video. The new player experience can be very rough at the start, but just know that it does get easier. Okay? The game does get easier. Also, my webcam is freaking the fuck out. Holy shit. How long has it been freaking out? There we go, it fixed. Anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap this game up with some notes, which is this game can be very overwhelming at first, and the early story might try and push you away. Push through it, give the game an honest to God try, and I promise you, you will have the time of your life. If you're looking for an actual challenge, if you're looking for a game where you don't just push Q and E to absolutely obliterate the content, if you're looking for a game where there's actually fucking gameplay, where there's actual content, I promise you, you will find it in Punishing Grey Raven. Okay? I welcome all of you to come to my community, discuss things with my community. Go to my Discord. It's an open channel, okay? I'll link it in the description as well. And again, this is a game where if you're not looking to pick mints all day, you have content, okay? There is tons of content for Punishing Grey Raven that I still haven't even touched because I just don't have the time. There's a lot of content. The combat is phenomenal in this game. And while the game does have flaws that I'm willing to 100% admit, I think that you really got to just give this game a shot. Give it an honest shot. And I hope this video helped you helped you get a sense from a new player perspective what it was like starting as a new player in 2024. At the same time, I know I made it a bit of a guide instead of making it well, this is my experience. I also made it a bit of a guide because I want everyone to give this game an honest to God shot, because I have had nothing but a great experience with this game, and I think you guys will too. That's going to be my final notes for this, guys. Again, there's a growing community that I have going on Twitch, on Discord. Okay, so you can go to my Twitch at twitch.tv/MimicSouls, or go to my YouTube at youtube.com/@MimicSouls, and click on the links, okay? Give those links a try. My Discord's linked in both of them. If you want a community where you can talk on Discord, or if you just want to come and hang out on stream with me, right? Because I do account reviews, I hang out with my community, we have a good laugh, my community loves clipping me out of context, and overall we have a good time. We have a good vibe here. We're always looking for more people to join the community, so please come give this an honest shot. Guys, that's going to do it from me. I'm going to see you all in the next video. I hope this was helpful, and without further ado, guys, go mold. Was that a good way to end the video? Telling them to just go mold? Bye, YouTube. Yeah. Anyway, bye. Bye, YouTube.